Roman 2, and B, before the mover of the motion is called to reply. Number 6, the mover will then be called upon to reply, and thereafter I'll put the question in terms of the motion in line with the provisions of Standing Order number 64. And number 7, honorable members and the council, is that you are guided by the rules of the Kericho County Standing Orders, and specifically on Standing Order number 97, where you are refrained from discussing the conduct of the Speaker. Number 8, however, this being a motion that requires a threshold of 2/3 of the members, honorable members will pass a resolution as will be further guided through roll call voting conducted by the clerk, and thereafter I will announce the result. The House is accordingly guided. Clerk, next order. Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Next order.
Order number 5, paper.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
And next order.
Order number 8, special motion, proposed removal from office of Governor for Kericho County, Honorable Dr. Erick Mutai, by impeachment.
Honorable members, the provisions of the Standing Order number 74(5) provides that when the order for the motion is read, the Speaker shall refuse to allow the member to move the motion unless the Speaker is satisfied that the member is supported by at least 1/3 of all members of the Assembly to move the motion. Provided that within the 7 days notice, the clerk shall cause to be prepared and deposited in his office a list of all members of the Assembly with an open space against each name for purposes of appending signatures, which list shall be entitled signatures in support of a motion for removal of Kericho County Governor by impeachment. And I want to believe the clerk, you have the list. Which I'm being informed that this morning 3,100 members have appended the signature on the same. Honorable members, to this end, I have with me the requisite form prepared by the Office of the Clerk in line with the provisions of our Standing Order number 74(5), in which a total of 31 honorable members have appended their signatures, and the earlier one of 35 honorable members appending their signature during the notice of motion. I'm therefore persuaded that this form is duly prepared and the signatures contained therein exceed the provided 1/3 threshold. Consequently, I therefore direct the mover of the motion, the Honorable Kiprotich Rogon, MCA Sigawitwa, to take to the floor and move the motion. Honorable Kiprotich Rogon, you can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move a special motion being proposed removal from office of the Governor for Kericho County, Honorable Dr. Erick Mutai, by impeachment. Mr. Speaker, whereas Article 2 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, hereinafter the Constitution restates the supremacy of the Constitution as the proposed law of the Republic and binds all persons and state organs at both levels of government. Article 10 of the Constitution, Section 3 and Section 16 of the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012, and Section 9, Section 10, Section 12, of the Public Officer Ethics Act 2003 establish, among others, the rule of law, democracy, human dignity, courtesy, respect, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, probity, professionalism, non-discrimination, protection of the marginalized, good governance, transparency, and accountability as part of the national values and principles of governance. Article 10, 73 and 75 of the Constitution require state officers at all times, whether in public or private life, to behave in a manner that, inter alia, 1, brings honor to the nation and dignity of the office that a state officer holds. Roman number 2, portray selfless service based solely on the public interest and demonstrate by honesty in execution of public duties and declaration of any personal interest that may conflict with public interest. Roman 3 ensures decisions made by the state officer are not influenced by nepotism, favorism, and improper motives. Demonstrate discipline and commitment in service of the people. And Roman number 4 avoids demeaning the office of the state officer one holds. By dint of Section 11 of the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012 enjoins governor as a state officer to treat members of the public and public officer with courtesy and respect. And further, by dint of Section 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012, the governor, being a state officer, is precluded from bullying any person by engaging in a behavior that is vindictive, cruel, malicious, humiliating, and is intended to undermine a person. Article 73(2) D and E of the Constitution provides for accountability of a state officer to the public for all decisions made in exercise of the powers, the office they hold, and accountability in critical principle of leadership and integrity. Article 10, Article 232, Article 235, and Article 236 of the Constitution, and Sections 59, 59A, 60, 62, 63, 64, and 65 of the County Governments Act 2012 provides for the values and principles of public service and establishes an elaborate framework for the establishment of county public offices and the recruitment, employment, and dismissal of county public officers. Article 179(4) of the Constitution reaffirms the governor's position as the chief executive of the county. Hence, the Constitution and the law vests primary responsibility for decision making and ensuring the well-being of the county of the governor. This is a strong expression of the county governor's commitment and expression to provide effective leadership, strategic vision, and direction to the county in ensuring efficient and prudent use of public resources for the good of the county. Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33 of the County Governments Act, and Standing Order number 74 of the Standing Orders of the County Assembly of Kericho provides for the impeachment of the governor on grounds of gross violation of the Constitution, gross violation of written laws, and gross misconduct and abuse of office. Article 201, 205, and 207 of the Constitution forms a constitutional basis that guide the counties in raising and utilization of public finances. In particular, Article 207 establishes the Revenue Fund and clearly stipulates that money shall not be withdrawn from the revenue fund unless the controller of budget has approved. Section 33 of the Constitution of the County Governments Act obligates the governor to provide leadership in the county governance, be accountable for the management and use of county resources, and to promote, amongst others, good governance and competitiveness of the county. The governor has in multiple occasions directly and indirectly engaged in acts and conduct which severally and collectively constitute gross violation of the Constitution, gross violation of other written laws, gross misconduct and abuse of office. By his acts and conduct, the governor has exposed the office of the governor, the assembly, and the people of Kericho to ridicule, embarrassment, shame, and disrepute. The conduct of the governor has been scandalous and embarrassing to the high office of the county governor, an office held in public trust, whose authority ought to be exercised in a manner consistent with the purpose and objects of the Constitution. The conduct of the governor has made it impossible for the county to be governed as it ought to be, compromised service delivery, and jeopardized the functions of both arms of county government of Kericho. It has therefore become untenable for the governor to continue being in office. The governor has variously committed constitutional wrongs that subvert the structure of the county government, and undermine the integrity of the office and even the Constitution itself. The significant effects of the conduct, that is, undermining the integrity of the office, disregard of the constitutional duties and oath of office, arrogation of powers, and abuse of the government process, has had an adverse impact on the running and the administration of Kericho County government. And the governor's continued stay in office has and will continue to undermine effective service delivery to the detriment of the people of Kericho County, in whose trust the governor holds office. Mr. Speaker, the Assembly resolves to impeach the governor under Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33 of the County Governments Act, and Standing Order number 74 of the County Assembly Standing Orders on the following grounds. Mr. Speaker, ground number A, violation of the Constitution and other laws. In bracket, violation, gross violation of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya 2010, the County Governments Act 2012, the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act, the Public Finance Management Act 2012, and Kericho County laws. Roman number 1, misappropriation, misallocation, and illegal drawing of county revenue and county finances. Number 1, Mr. Speaker, on various occasions since his election as a governor and subsequent assumption of office, the governor has engaged in various acts of gross violation of Article 10, Article 183, and Article 201 of the Constitution, Sections 102 and 109 of the Public Finance Management Act, Cap 412A, and the provisions of the County Rating Act number 15 of 2019 as number 5 of 2019 as follows. Number A, presiding over an administration which has deliberately refused, failed, neglected, and omitted to automate revenue collection, thus opening up counties' own source revenue to pilferage and misappropriation and theft. Mr. Speaker, number B, the county government advertised for the procurement of the integrated county revenue management system, vide an advertisement dated 14th December 2023. Despite the tender being responsive and a compliant tenderer being proposed by the tendering committee for the award of the tender, there is evidence that the governor frustrated the award of the said tender. Number C, Mr. Speaker, the absence of the automated payment system has adversely impacted on the revenue-raising ability by the county through deliberate undercharging of business permits fees and miscategorization of zones where businesses are actually situated. For instance, single business permits are issued to the business owners at zone B and C, which attracts less charges when the actual business is situated at zone A to avoid payment of actual charges. Similarly, properties situated in areas that attract higher rates are miscategorized, charged, and issued clearance certificate for areas that are zoned for lower rates, thus perpetuating revenue leaks. Number D, the county governor presides over an administration that has totally disregarded the valuation roll prepared and passed by the county assembly in 2019. Mr. Speaker, there was a typo, there was a typing error. That is the county assembly in 2019, pursuant to the Valuation Roll and Rating Act, Cap 266. Thus, the county continues to collect property rates under the old valuation roll, occasioning the county substantial revenue losses. Number E, Mr. Speaker, the revenue leaks and losses has seen the county miss revenue targets for 2 consecutive financial years, where the revenue collection falls short of the projected revenue by more than 50%. Mr. Speaker, number F, the governor has violated the provisions of Section 104 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012, when through his acts of omission, commission, and inaction, he continues to preside over a broken public finance management system, which has made the county treasury ineffective. Number G, Mr. Speaker, there is a nexus between the disappearance and or the loss of county revenue and the governor's opulent lifestyle since he was elected. Indeed, within 2 years since his election, the governor's wealth has grown exponentially, so much so that he can now afford to contribute up to Kenya shillings 1 million in a single harambe. Indeed, in one of the church functions, the governor was captured bragging that whereas he didn't have the resources when he first vied, in quotes, Ragomitugu, loosely translating to, this time I have enough resources. And this was captured, Mr. Speaker, in a function in Litein. We have the documentation. Number 2, under the first charge, on or about 31st August 2023, the governor engaged in gross violation of Articles 10, 183, 201, 207, and 208 of the Constitution, and Sections 102, 109, and 110 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 by launching a program dubbed Equalizer Kazi Mtaani Initiative and drawing county funds towards the initiative without a legislation to anchor the initiative. Public participation, prior approval of the county assembly and the controller of budget, and prior approval of the budget and appropriation approval. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, the present and former Chief Executive Committee members and the chief officers have variously reported coercion by the governor to make financial allocations for the governor's own use from the funds allocated to their respective departments, and which funds they are required to remit through the governor's personal assistance. Mr. Speaker, with this charge, we have up to the M-Pesa statements of one of the former chief executive committee member.
Is it correct? Chief or county?
County executive committee member, CCM. Mr. Speaker, the M-Pesa transaction even shows governor being sent the amount directly from the chief county executive member Unfortunately, he was fired, and a number of MSA transactions from the member to the personal assistance of the governor. So this is justified. Number 4, Mr. Speaker, violation of Article 201A, D, E of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 on principles of public finance management, and Article 226 as read with Article 227 of the Constitution by presiding over glaring irregularities evidenced by number A, irregular award of contracts and evasion of accountability; B, willful interfering in the procurement process and the award of tenders; C, skewed awards to various contractors at inflated rates and in collusion with fraudulent contractors and suppliers; and D, irregular implementation of various programs in the county; and E, intentionally and negligently presiding over massive theft of county public funds as evidenced by the Auditor General's report for the financial year ended 30th June 2023, which raised red flags on various projects. And Mr. Speaker, we have the same report. We've annexed which states the manner in which all this is happening. Number 5, on 15th August 2023, the governor compensated the victims of Londiani accident from the county emergency fund to cover up for the funds raised by the public and misappropriated by the committee he had formed to steer the fund drive, and without cogent explanation of how the funds publicly raised for the victims had been expended. Evidence of the governor's engagement, connivance, and complicity in the aforementioned acts of misappropriation, misallocation, and illegal drawings of county revenue and county finances is to be found in Roman number 1, invitation to the tender dated 14 December 2023, KCA exhibit number 1, Roman number 2, appointment of the tender committee dated 27th December 2023, KCA exhibit number 2, Roman number 3, tender opening record dated 28th December 2023, KCA exhibit number 3, Roman number 4, appointment of tender evaluation committee dated 4th January 2024, KCA exhibit number 4, Roman number 5, tender evaluation report dated 5th February 2024, KCA exhibit number 4. That should be number 5. Roman number 6, Kericho County Revenue Administration and Management Act 2019, KCA exhibit number 5. From that order, it should be number 6. That's an error. Roman number 7, Kericho County Rating Act 2019, KCA exhibit number 7. Roman number 8, Kericho County Finance Act 2023, KCA exhibit number 8. Roman number 9, a bundle of copies of single business permits, KCA exhibit number 8. This one, Mr. Speaker, shows even the business across our assembly, Pakmat, belongs to premises in Bureti, but you know Kericho is on A, and even in Bureti it doesn't state which, because Litein also is on A, so it should be Litein and Kericho in both zones, zone A. So Mr. Speaker, that's how we lost revenues. Number 10, a report on the ad hoc committee on Kazim Tani project, KCA exhibit number 10. And Mr. Speaker, I was the vice chairman of that committee. It is unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, and I must say this, that the member even who raised the question, the statement, that necessitated investigation into this dubious project, is one of those members who appended a signature that they are not willing to come here and even to defend the report that we produced. Mr. Speaker, in one of the, immediately we tabled the report, That particular member even called for the impeachment of the governor, and now he's nowhere. You know, he should have been here to defend the people he represents. And this is so shameful, Mr. Speaker, because one, you do not send an affidavit that you will not appear here because you do not want to talk about this. And you raised, that is the member even who quoted a number of contractors who are paid without a single document. It is so shameful, Mr. Speaker, and I want to urge the members in future, let us stand for what we believe is true. Number 11, affidavit of Mr. Erick Mutai, KCA exhibit number 11. Mr. Speaker, there is an amendment there. It was supposed to be 2 affidavits of former...
You remember, this is a house of rules and procedures and records and statement of facts.
Correct.
So who alleges must prove. And you know, you have just mentioned is a member. Is it something that you can substantiate? Who is that? Who is he? Because the records don't lie. We have it here so that for the purposes of record, and we also have our handsets.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand guided, Mr. Speaker, based our in relation to a report on the ad hoc committee on Kazi Mtaani. The member who raised the question is Honorable Matthew Korir. The member who raised the statement is Honorable Matthew Korir, MCA representing Chaik Ward. And unfortunately, the same member, Mr. Speaker, is not even here today to talk about the same report which we've brought here as one of the evidences that this county lost a quite substantial amount of money. So, Mr. Speaker, the member is Honorable Matthew Kipkirui Korir. He is the MCA representing Chaik Ward.
All right, you can proceed.
So, number 11, Mr. Speaker, I was saying it is an affidavit of Mr. Erick Mutai. We do not have one for Rob Kipkorir Daniel. The 2 are former CECs in this county government, and that is KCA exhibit number 11. Roman number 12, Auditor General's report for the year ended 30th June 2023. Kericho County exhibit number 12. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, not lastly, number 13, Roman number 13, a schedule of revenue streams vis-a-vis performance as of 30th April 2024, KCA exhibit number 13. Mr. Speaker, this one is even so, it's something that shows that this county deliberately doesn't raise its own source revenues. I can quote in one of this schedule, Kabianga Tea Farm is quoted to have raised the smallest amount of money. And Mr. Speaker, under the defunct local authorities, the same farm used to raise a lot of money. The executive has never informed this house why we are not collecting anything from that tea farm. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, Roman number 14, we have the video clips numbered KCFV1 and KCFV2. This one, Mr. Speaker, is clips that the governor himself is addressing the public in relation to number 1, that he never had money when he was campaigning, but in 2027 he will have money. And he was even telling the public no one should worry. So that one, Mr. Speaker, is something that the governor ought to be investigated. Roman number 2 is misappropriation and or abetting misappropriation of publicly raised funds. This one, Mr. Speaker, is in relation to the Londiani Accident Victims Fundraiser. Number 1, on various dates between 4th July 2023 and 9th July 2023, the governor grossly violated the provisions of Article 10, 73 and 75 of the Constitution and sections 29 and 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012 by number A, overseeing misappropriation of funds raised for the victims of the horrendous Londiani Junction accident tragedy, in which over Kenya shillings 9 million of public raised funds were lost. Number B, reneging on his undertaking to implement the report of the County Assembly's ad hoc committee formed to probe the misappropriation of funds meant for the victims of the incident. There is evidence that the governor filed a suit and or supported a suit by those implicated in the report of the County Assembly's ad hoc committee in Kericho ELRC petition number E006 of 2023, that is Dr. Wesley Bor and 5 others versus the governor, the county government and others, and Kericho ELRC petition number E014 of 2023, Victor Tum and others versus the governor, Kericho County government and others. And C, being personally and directly complicit in the flawed award of direct tenders for service providers during the fundraiser and requiem mass of the victims of the accident. Number D, the governor has in this regard committed numerous and various acts in the course of his duties that are contrary to and in violation of the Constitution and laws of Kenya. These include Roman number 1, the authenticity of various payments made cannot be confirmed. The fact that the exact amount of money expended from the sum collected during the fundraiser points to impropriety and suggests a clear fraud on those whom the funds ought to have benefited. Roman number 2, a total of Kenya shillings 13,682,660 was collected at the fundraiser. A sum of Kenya shillings 423, that is Kenya shillings 423,000, was purportedly expended as pastors' facilitation, transport, refund, field preparation, lunches and refreshments, printing, publishing and radio announcements. Other payments that were approved from the fund were Kericho County Referral Hospital, Kenya shillings 2,037,524, Londiani Hospital, Kenya shillings 1,534,190, Supertix Limited, Kenya shillings 2,945,000, Supershine Limited, Kenya shillings 411,000, Ray's Hotel, Kenya shillings 100,000, County Commissioners Fuel, Kenya shillings 300,000, etc. Roman number 3, that when Kenyans from all walks of life voluntarily made the contribution to aid the victims of the tragedy, it was never intended or anticipated that the funds would be misappropriated with blessings of the governor, who had higher calling to ensure the money is accounted for to the last coin, and whom the people bestowed their trust. Roman number 4, the governor has issued contradictory statements in so far as the use of the funds is concerned. The contradictory statements point to his being complicit in the manner. And Roman number 5, while the governor is on record indicating that the medical bills for all the victims would be waived and taken care of by the county government, it is not clear why the money had to be paid out from the fund collected to various public hospitals against the expenses and unequivocal representations of the governor. Number E, by his acts of omission and commission, the governor has grossly violated provisions of Article 75, which demands that a state officer shall, whether in private or in public, behave in a manner that avoids conflict of interest between personal interests and public or official interests, or compromises public interest in favor of personal interest. Number F, by overseeing the misappropriation of the funds aimed at assisting the victims of the accident, the governor violated Article 73(2), which demands from him selfless service based solely on public interest, demonstrated by honesty in execution of his duties, accountability to the public for decisions and actions, and discipline and commitment in service. Number G, by allowing himself to be a master of doublespeak in such a grave matter that shook the conscience of the nation, the governor violated Article 73(1)(a), Roman number 2 and Roman number 3 of the Constitution, which demand that he at all times demonstrate respect to the people and brings honor and dignity to the office he holds. Roman number H, by allowing himself and senior officials to close to him to benefit from the funds, the governor violated Article 76(2) of the 2B of the Constitution, which prohibits a state officer from accepting a benefit in circumstances that compromise the integrity of the state officer. And number I, by failing to ensure that decision making in the executive office of the county governor are not influenced by corruption, nepotism, and other callous and improper motives, the governor has failed to exercise objectivity and impartiality, thus violating Article 73(2)(b) of the Constitution, Kenya 2010. Mr. Speaker, evidence of the governor's engagement, connivance, and simplicity in the acts of misappropriating and or abetting misappropriation of publicly raised funds is to be found in Roman number 1, the report on the investigation of Londiani accident victims fundraising held on July 4th, 2024, KCA exhibit number 13, I want to believe it's correct, and Roman number 2, affidavit filed by the governor in Kericho ELCR petition number E014 of 2023, KCA exhibit number 14, and the video clips numbered KCA V3 and KCA V4 and KCA V5. Mr. Speaker, most of these clips, in fact, it is unfortunate that the governor would refer to the committee, the other committee that was investigating this fund, as a funeral committee. You know, Mr. Speaker, these are honorable members led by the Honorable Moses Rotich, MCA, representing the great people of Tendeno, and a number of members. The governor, however disgusted he was with the report, he ought not to have referred to members as a funeral committee that was formed by the assembly to investigate funeral activities surrounding the Londiani accident victims. And number 2, Mr. Speaker, the governor, immediately this committee was formed, he called a press conference, and that is the point. You know, there is a coined word at the moment called Mangetu Chita. He called a press conference, you know, telling the public that I'll honor the report from the assembly. Immediately the report was tabled, he again went back and said, I cannot fire the CECs. And the recommendation from the members was anybody who, you know, took the money meant for these victims ought not to ought to be investigated and, you know, sent packing. But you know, the governor said his hands were, you know, tied. He cannot act on this report to send anyone home. It's unfortunate because you can commit yourself now and the report is tabled, you disassociate yourself with the outcomes of the report. Mr. Speaker, charge number B, abuse of office. Roman number 1, illegal appointments, unlawful dismissals and transfers, and usurpation of the constitutional and statutory functions of county public service. Number 1, Mr. Speaker, the governor has variously engaged in Roman number 1, gross misconduct, and Roman number 2, gross violations of Article 10, Article 73, Article 75, Article 232, Article 235, and Article 236 of the Constitution. Roman number 3, gross violation of Section 17 of the Public Officer Ethics Act. Section 55, Section 59, Section 59A, Section 60, Section 62, Section 63, Section 64, and Section 65 of the County Governments Act, Section 4 of the Public Appointments County Assemblies Approval Act 2017, and variously abused his office by number A, illegally appointing one Mrs. Alice Bett, now Judge of the High Court, as the county attorney when there was a substantive office holder, an act of which the Employment and Labor Relations Court, Honorable Lady Justice Wasilwa, affirmed was irregular and procedural and unlawful in Sang versus Governor, Kericho County, and 2 others. Petition E001 of 2023, 2023. In that case, the governor was found by the court to be in gross violation of Article 73 and 232 of the Constitution. His actions found to be illegal and unconstitutional and ordered to pay costs of Kenya shillings 2 million and costs personally. The governor has therefore been already adjudged to be in gross violation of the law, and all the Assembly and the Senate are called upon to do is to remove him by impeachment. Mr. Speaker, it's unfortunate that the governor would rise one morning and advertise, the position of the county attorney, when there is a substantive holder of the office who's been there from the first county government under Professor Paul Chepkwony. The governor was fined Kenya shillings 2 million, not from the county coffers, but he was, told to pay from it out of his own pocket. Mr. Speaker, this is even a judgment that has been rendered, that the governor violated the law. And based on this judgment alone, the governor is adjudged. Judgment has been rendered. This governor, Mr. Speaker, ought not to be holding office. Number B, causing the advertisement of the position of doctors, nurses, early childhood education, that is ECD teachers, just to endear himself politically when he knew the county government did not have the capacity to hire. The applicants were subsequently not shortlisted, nor their late vacancies filled. Mr. Speaker, county government of Kericho, advertised for the position of in health department, the education department, that is the ECD, and even in agriculture, which were never filled. Mr. Speaker, the only reason that the governor gave was that we do not have the money, and that the wage bill was going to shoot above the required limit. Mr. Speaker, in the first place, why would you publish an advertisement when you know you do not have the money for that cause? And out of this, Mr. Speaker, this is irregular, and the governor can only wake up one morning and do what he knows is impossible, just because he wanted to appear as if he was winning the public to himself. Mr. Speaker, this alone amounts to abuse of office, and the governor ought not to be running the affairs of this county government. Mr. Speaker, number C, illegally deploying health staff via notice dated 22nd July 2024 without any justification, authority, and involvement of the county service board, thus creating crisis in health. Mr. Speaker, this was even shocking because one, Section 72 of the County Governments Act, 2, states that the chief officer in that relevant department is the one who should occasion even the changes. But again, these changes ought to be in tandem with the HR mark issues and in consultation with the county public service. Mr. Speaker, the former county secretary who we impeached in this house was guided by the governor to do this, so that you find the director of medical services was taken to head a unit in county referral hospital, and a junior staff who works in Londiani is brought to come and act as a director. It is in total disregard of the law. You know, governor became the HR, governor became the public service board, and governor became even the overall HR mark, chaired by the county secretary. This alone, Mr. Speaker, is in violation of law, and this governor ought not to be running the management of this county. Mr. Speaker, number D, illegally appointing Mr. George Kipngeno Kirer as the Chief Officer for Finance and forwarding his name to the County Assembly for vetting and approval when there was a substantive office holder in the name Mrs. Jacqueline C. Langat, and the vacancy had not arisen. Mr. Speaker, it also caught us by surprise because one, Jacqueline was busy making payments, doing requisitions, and already the governor has advertised a position where somebody is there substantively. There is no notice to occasion even that vacancy. I mean, Mr. Speaker, if governor cannot even cannot produce this, he ought not to be the governor. Evidence of the governor's engagement, connivance, and complicity in the foregoing acts of illegal appointments, unlawful dismissal and transfers, and usurpation of the constitutional and statutory functions of the county organs is to be found in, number 1, judgment of the Employment and Labor Relations Court in Kericho in the case of Collins Sang versus Governor Kericho County and 2 others. Petition number E001 of 2023. Now this is even, it's already uploaded, that is 2024 KEELCR, KCA exhibit number 14, Roman number 2, a copy of the advertisement for the vacancies. Now this one, even it involves the advertisements that we saw for the health, the ECD, that were never filled, and including this one for Mr. George Kirer, and now the CEO Finance. Under the abuse of office, Mr. Speaker, number 2, Roman number 2, subversion, discrediting, and impeding of the oversight role of the County Assembly. Number 1, Mr. Speaker, on 3rd September 2024, the governor engaged in 1, gross misconduct, and 2, grossly violated the provisions of Article 10, 73, 75, 174, and 185, 3 of the Constitution, and abused his office by writing to the Speaker, purporting to direct the Speaker on, inter alia, the timeline the Speaker should give the chief officers who are summoned by the Assembly for questioning in exercise of the Assembly's oversight mandate. Mr. Speaker, he's been writing a number of letters to you. First, he was asking this House to give 5 days notice. We complied. Even when we were doing the other committee on revenues. But you know, Mr. Speaker, shockingly, the governor again sent another letter that my team will not appear before us because they were engaged elsewhere, and that we can reschedule to a later date. This committee has timelines, Mr. Speaker. It's unfortunate because the governor does not understand that as a House we have a mandate, and this mandate is bestowed to us by the people who send us to this House. It's unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, that the governor doesn't seem to understand the role of this House. The evidence of the governor's engagement, connivance, and complicity in the foregoing acts of subversion, discrediting, and impeding of the oversight role of the County Assembly is to be found in number 1. Roman number 1, a letter by the governor dated 20th August 2024 addressed to the Speaker of the County Assembly, KCA exhibit number 16, and a letter from the Speaker to the governor dated 3rd September 2024, KCA exhibit number 17. Charge number C, Mr. Speaker, gross misconduct. Roman number 1, bullying, incitement, vilification, and indecent sexual conduct. Number 1, Mr. Speaker, on various occasions, the governor has repeatedly engaged in Roman number 1, gross misconduct, and Roman number 2, gross violation of the provisions of Article 10, Article 73, and Article 75 of the Constitution, and Sections 29 and 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act by number A, publicly vilifying the residents of Kericho with divergent views. A case in point is a Mr. Marwa from Londiani, who, while attending an event in Londiani dated 4th March 2023, the governor publicly disparaged, demeaned, and undermined, and even threatened to use the service of the police officer assigned to him to manhandle him. Similarly, on 24th August 2023, the governor, while commissioning a renal unit and a bulk liquid oxygen plant at Kapkatet Sub-County Hospital, the governor openly vilified, slighted, and berated Honorable Amos Birir, who is a member of this house, MCA Kapkatet, who had not attended the event, describing him as mentally blind and stupid. Mr. Speaker, it's unfortunate. And you know, this governor is so cruel that, you know, first of all, for the case of Marwa, he invited him to come to the front, you know, the dais where he was seated. And he started now chiding him. He started talking so bad about Marwa, who is a resident of Londiani. Mr. Speaker, for the case of Honorable Amos Birir, in fact, the language the governor used is not of that person who was given an overwhelming mandate by the people of Kericho. Calling a member of County Assembly that is you know, mentally blind and stupid. In Kikale, Mr. Speaker, you know, he said, "Yanetinye MCA ne kumbafu, korat ago kumbafu." So, Mr. Speaker, you can imagine such words.
Order, honorable members, honorable Rukoin. We will not admit what you are saying because it is not in your motion before us. So it's not interpreted before. So proceed. You are out of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand guided, though we have evidence because we have the clip with us here, Mr. Speaker, which we will produce when during the defense of this in another office. Number B, Mr. Speaker. Further, on 15th of August 2023, while addressing the press to counter the findings of the ADO committee of the Assembly on Londiani accident, the governor spitefully referred to the members of the said ADO committee as the funeral committee. This one I had said before, Mr. Speaker. Number C, the governor has been operating with impunity as though he is above the law. On the second day of being sworn into office, the governor led a mob to invade a private land owned by one Mr. Josea Kiblangat Kogo within Kericho town and tore down the fence. The governor has since designated the subject land as an illegal dump site operated by the county government without the consent of the registered proprietor, National Environment Management Authority, that is NEMA approval, gazettement by the county designating the parcel as a dump site, and in in total disregard of a court order issued by the Environment and Land Court in Kericho in ELC petition number E001 of 2022. That is Josiah Kiplangat Kogo versus the county government of Kericho. The governor has also obstructed the enforcement of the orders by the police administration. The actions are illegal, contemptuous to the authority and the dignity of the court and the rule of law, unethical and demeaning the office the governor holds. Further, as a result of the illegal actions of the governor, the county was condemned to pay the costs. Mr. Speaker, I only want to invite you into something funny. One, this is day 2, immediately after being sworn into office. I saw Governor Sakaja visited Pumwani Hospital. In the first 5 days, I saw Governor Susan Kihiga went to PGH Hospital and even went to the market to assess the situation. Our governor, number one, was already, undertaking an exercise that is construed it is criminal. Tearing down a fence belonging to an individual and even, disregarding the court order that has been obtained by the same individual trying to repossess this land. To date, Mr. Speaker, the governor is using that same land as a dump site for the county government of Kericho. That is the private property belonging to one Mr. Josiah Kiplangat Kogo. Mr. Speaker, this governor started on the wrong footing. And this alone, this governor ought to have been impeached in less than 6 months into office. We really delayed as a house. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, there are numerous complaints of the governor's indecent and unnatural sexual behavior by female partners who accuse the governor of, and for instance, forcing them to unconsented anal sex, dangerous and unprotected sex, etc. The victim of the abuse seeks anonymity at this stage, and the mover of the motion shall, at the hearing of this motion, seek to have the victim heard in camera to protect her identity and dignity. Further, for the sake of concealing of her identity, the victim will be identified in a pseudonym. And this, Mr. Speaker, we have an affidavit, and the complainant is willing to avail herself in person. We also have, Mr. Speaker, governors exchange with the victim. Even the victim trying to, ask the governor why he would go that far. Mr. Speaker, this one we can prove beyond reasonable doubt. And governor claiming that he doesn't have, evidence is something that's uncalled for. He should be ready to, answer to this. And this one, Mr. Speaker, is even in contravention of Sexual Offences Act 2016, is it? Number E, the governor has persistently intimidated, molested, harassed county officers who do not sing to his tune, leaving officers jittery and creating an atmosphere of fear, uncertainty, and despondency in the county, and thus creating a toxic working environment. This violates the provision of sections 11 and section 13 of the Leadership and Integrity Act. In fact, Mr. Speaker, we have a case of a very serious human resource personnel by the name Jacqueline Leitich, who exited the service of this county to join the national government. She was frustrated. You can imagine, Mr. Speaker, an officer who was the acting director of human resource. Simply because the governor didn't like her, she was sent to become the sub-county administrator in Sointigo. She never reported. Or she reported and immediately sought transfer to the national government. Mr. Speaker, the actions by the governor and his men, led by one Dr. Bor, really, demoralize the officer. And the governor has done so many of this. In one of the interviews, Mr. Speaker, again, one officer who works in this county as the payroll manager told us in this committee that at some point he was taking drugs meant for pressure, just to lower the pressure, because of the insults and the abuse by the county chief. It is uncalled for, very unfortunate, and this governor ought to be impeached, Mr. Speaker. Number F, the governor has persistently used divisive and unbecoming language which undermines the office he holds, contrary to Section 8 of the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012. Number G, the governor has violated Article 75, 1 of the Constitution by drawing hefty allowances and a salary while failing to diligently report to work, to the huge detriment of the discharge of his mandate as a governor and the performance of his functions. Number H, the acts by the governor enumerated above have collectively brought dishonor and disrepute into the office of the governor in violation of Chapter 6 of the Constitution and the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012. Evidence of the governor's engagement and connivance and complicity in the preceding acts of incitement, vilification, and indecent sexual conduct is to be found in Roman number 1, affidavit of Josiah Kiblangat Kogo, sworn on 23rd September 2023 in support of the notice. Roman number 2, judgment of the ELC in ELC petition number E001 of 2022, Josiah Kiblangat Kogo versus County Government of Kericho, KCA exhibit number 18. And Roman number 3, video clips numbered KCAV. Thank you. Video clips numbered KCAV 6, KCAV 7, and KCAV 8. Mr. Speaker, I'm reminded that affidavit Roman number 1 of Josiah Kiblangat Kogo, sworn on 23rd September 2024, not 23. Thank you for the correction, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, to that end, I've come to the close of my motion, Mr. Speaker, and I only want to urge my members present, let us support this motion. This governor has acted with a lot of impunity. Mr. Speaker, all these charges that we've raised here today can be proven beyond reasonable doubt. And that calls, for this county to progress, for this county to prosper, for us to even get the much needed on-source revenue, for us to be able to discharge the mandate of this county, then this governor must go, Mr. Speaker. This governor, let us impeach him. We will get the order of this county back on track. With this, Mr. Speaker, I beg the members to support the motion. And I want to call on Honorable Albert Kipkoech, MCA representing Soliat, who is a ranking member of this House, to second the motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right, thank you, the Honorable Kipkoech. The Honorable Kipkoech Albert, seconder of this motion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to second this motion and support it wholeheartedly. Mr. Speaker, the mover has really elaborated how the motion is, and allow me to invite you to our evidence, Mr. Speaker, that supports this motion. And I will start with the first one, which is, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and members, to page 6 of the motion, whereby it says the county government advertised for the procurement of the integrated county revenue management system via an advertisement dated 14th December 2023. Mr. Speaker, I wish to confirm that we are having as evidence that advertisement, which was read in County Government of Kericho, Department of Finance and Economic Planning, invitation to tender, And the details, Mr. Speaker, is that supply, delivery, installation, testing, and commissioning of an integrated county revenue management system. And Mr. Speaker, this advertisement was meant to be received on or before 28 December 2023 at 10 a.m. And that is the time that this tender was supposed to be opened. In that connection, Mr. Speaker, immediately on 27 December 2023, an appointment to the tender committee, appointment to the tender opening committee was formed. And the CEO then, who was forming this tender opening committee, was CPA Gilbert Kipkurui B. And he appointed the following members. The first one was CPA Catherine Kagea, Eric Korir, Leonard Langat, and Caroline Langat. And Mr. Speaker, the intention of this was to make sure that they preside over the opening of the tender. On 28, as the tender was seen, the tender was opened, and it was responsive, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on 4th January 2024, this year, appointment to the tender evaluation committee was formed. And the person who was forming that committee was Jacqueline Langat, who was the CEO of Finance then. And he also appointed 5 members to that committee, of which they did their work. And we have evaluation report that was submitted on 5th February 2024. Mr. Speaker, since then up to today, we don't have an automated system. What we have is a manual system, which started in November 2023. And the other day they were purporting that they have a system. After analyzing where they get this system, we noticed that they are calling it in-house system. A system that does not have controls, does not have checks, does not hold all the revenue streams. So, Mr. Speaker, in that connection, allow me also to invite members to the issues of licenses, Mr. Speaker, especially C, whereby we are told in the absence of automated payment system has adversely impacted on the revenue raising ability by the county through deliberate undercharging of business permits, fees, and miscategorization of zones. Mr. Speaker, we have zone A, B, and C, and allow me, Mr. Speaker, to confirm. Mr. Speaker, in our Kericho County Finance Bill 2023, page 26, they are listing the zones. And zone A is Kericho Town. Zone B, Mr. Speaker, is Bureti, Kipkelion West, Kipkelion East, Ainamoi, Belgood, and Sigawet Soin. And Mr. Speaker, to your surprise, in Kericho Town here, and allow me, Mr. Speaker, to use one permit to confirm the way they misplaced the zoning. Allow me to use permit by Kogul. Mr. Speaker, Kogul General Supplies Limited, which is here in Kericho Town, was given a permit from Pureti Sub-County, which is in Zone B. So, Mr. Speaker, that one confirms what is in the motion, page 6. Mr. Speaker, allow me also to take members to page 7. The present and former Chief Executive Committee member and Chief Officers have variously reported coercion by the Governor. So, Mr. Speaker, I will take members to affidavit by Erick Koech. And I will only read a section of it. I will read number 5 of that affidavit, which says, Mr. Speaker, that the demanded sums varied in figures from time to time, but on average, the Governor will require a personal allocation of shilling 500,000 on a weekly basis from his department then, which was Department of Roads. The payment, Mr. Speaker, was made on cash basis and occasionally through M-Pesa platforms. And here, Mr. Speaker, we are having a M-Pesa statement. And allow me to just mention a few. Mr. Speaker, on I will not say the dates, but 10,000 shillings was sent to Governor's PA using the name Ngetich Kipsang. Also, 10,000 shillings was also sent to Governor PA using the name Irene Chepkwony. There is also 15,000 that was sent to the Governor, Mutai Erick. There is also 35,000 that was sent to the Governor, Mutai Erick. We are also having 40,000 that was also sent to his PA using the name Irene Chepkwony. And the rest, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, our motion is fully packed with evidence. As you can see, the booklet is very big. But to me, the only thing I'll say, Mr. Speaker, in support is to say that to sort out the following issues, Mr. Speaker. The first one is leaking roof in our hospitals. The second one is availability of medicines in our hospital. The third one is revenue leakages and to post our revenue projection. Development in all the wards, burning bills that has accrued since the start of devolution, to also sort out issues of wage bill, to also sort out issues of recruitment and confirmation of staff, and operationalization of stalled facilities in this county. Mr. Speaker, I want to request honorable members that Dr. Erick Mutai be impeached. He must go to sanitize this county. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I do second. Thank you.
All right, thank you, the Honorable Kipkwai Shogun. All right, thank you so much, the Honorable Kipkwai Shogun, as well as the Honorable Albert Kipkwai, having moved and the motion has been seconded. Honorable members, the motion has been moved and seconded. And I now propose the questions to the provisions of the Standing Order number 54-1, which is, I have to read it verbatim, and therefore I'll request for your patience. This is the special motion, proposed removal from office of the Governor for Kericho County, Honorable Dr. Erick Mutai by impeachment. Motion by Honorable Kipro, elected member of the County Assembly, Kericho, Sigawit Ward. Whereas Article 2 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, herein after the Constitution, restates the supremacy of the Constitution as the supreme law of the Republic and binds all persons and state organs at both levels of government. Honorable members, let me propose the question, and my clerk advises me because of the cameras I've got to stand. So you've got to be patient with me again as I stand to propose the question. This is not putting the question. And I start, whereas Article 2 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, herein after the Constitution, restates the supremacy of the Constitution as the supreme law of the Republic and binds all persons and state organs at both levels of government. Number 2, Article 10 of the Constitution, Section 3 and 16 of the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012, and Sections 9, 10, and 12 of the Public Officer Ethics Act 2003, establish, among others, the rule of law, democracy, human dignity, courtesy, respect, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, probity, professionalism, non-discrimination, protection of the marginalized, good governance, transparency, and accountability as part of the national values and principles of governance. Number 3, Article 10, 73 and 75 of the Constitution requires state officers at all times, whether in public or in private life, to behave in a manner that inter alia, 1, brings honor to the nation and dignity of the office that a state officer holds, 2, portrays selfless, service-based, solely on public interests, demonstrated by honesty in execution of the public duties and declaration of any personal interest that may conflict with the public interest. 3, ensures decisions made by the state officer are not influenced by nepotism, favorism, and improper motives, demonstrate discipline and commitment in service to the people, and 4, avoid demeaning the office that the state officer once held. Number 4, by date of Section 11 of the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012, enjoins the governor as a state officer to treat members of the public and other public officer with courtesy and respect, and further by date of Section 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012, the governor being a state officer is precluded from bullying any person by engaging in a behavior that is vindictive, cruel, malicious, humiliating, and is intended to undermine a person. Number 5, Article 73(2)(d) and (e) of the Constitution provides for accountability of a state officer to the public for all decisions made in exercise of the powers of the office they hold, and that accountability is a critical principle of leadership and integrity. Number 6, Article 10, 232, 235, and 236 of the Constitution, and Sections 59, 59A, 60, 62, 63, 64, and 65 of the County Government Act 2012 provides for the values and principle of public service and establishes an elaborate framework for the establishment of county public offices and the recruitment, employment, and dismissal of county public officers. Number 7, Article 179(4) of the Constitution reaffirms the governor's position as the chief executive officer of the county. Hence, the Constitution and the law vest primary responsibility for decision-making and ensuring the well-being of the county on the governor. This is a strong expression of the county governor's commitment and expectation to provide effective leadership, strategic vision, and direction to the county in ensuring sufficient and prudent use of public resources for the good of the county. Number 8, Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33 of the County Government Act and Standing Order number 74 of Standing Orders of the County Assembly of Kericho provides for the impeachment of the governor on grounds of gross violation of the Constitution, gross violation of other written laws, gross misconduct and abuse of office. Number 9, Article 201, 205, and 207 of the Constitution forms a constitutional basis that guide the counties in raising and utilization of public finances. In particular, Article 207 establishes the County Revenue Fund and clearly stipulates the money shall not be withdrawn from the revenue fund unless the controller budget has approved. Number 10, Section 30, subsection 3 of the County Government Act obligates the governor to provide leadership in county governance, be accountable for the management and use of public county resources, and to promote, amongst others, good governance and competitiveness of the county. Number 11, the governor has in multiple occasions directly and indirectly engaged in acts and conduct which severally and collectively constitute gross violation of the Constitution, gross violation of other written laws, gross misconduct and abuse of office. Number 12, by his acts and conduct, the governor has exposed the office of the governor, the assembly, and the people of Kericho to ridicule, embarrassment, shame, and disrepute. Number 13, the conduct of the governor has been scandalous and embarrassing to high office of the county governor, an office held in public trust and whose authority ought to be exercised in a manner consistent with the purpose and objects of the Constitution. Number 14, the conduct of the governor has made it impossible for the county to be governed as it ought to be, compromised service delivery, and jeopardized the functions of both arms of the county government of Kericho. It has therefore become untenable for the governor to continue being in office. Number 15, the governor has variously committed constitutional wrongs that subvert the structure of the government and undermine the integrity of the office and even the Constitution itself. The significant effects of the conduct, i.e., undermining the integrity of the office, disregard of constitutional duties and oath of office, arrogation of power, and abuse of governmental process, has had an adverse impact on running and administration of the Kericho County government. And number 16, the governor's continued stay in office has and will continue to undermine effective service delivery to the detriment of the people of Kericho County, in whose trust the governor holds the office. The Assembly resolves to impeach the governor under Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33 of the County Government Act, and Standing Order number 74 of Kericho County Assembly Standing Orders on the following grounds. Number 1, A, gross violation of the Constitution and other laws. That is gross violation of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya 2010, the County Government Act 2012, the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act of 2015, the Public Finance Management Act 2012, and Kericho County laws that has been approved by this House over time. Under A, Roman number 1, misappropriation, misallocation, and illegal drawings of county revenue and county finances. 1, on various occasions since his election as a governor and subsequent assumptions of office, the governor has engaged in various acts of gross violation of Article 10, 183, and 201 of the Constitution, Section 102 and 109 of the PFM Act, Cap 4112A, and the provisions of the Kericho County Rating Act number 5 of 2019 as follows. A. Presiding over an administration which has deliberately refused, failed, neglected and omitted to automate revenue collection, thus opening up the county's own source revenue to pulverage, misappropriation and theft. Number B, the county government advertised for the procurement of integrated county revenue management system via an advertisement dated 14 December 2023. Despite the tender being responsive and a compliant tenderer being proposed by the tendering committee for the award of the tender, there is evidence that the governor frustrated the award of the said tender. Number C, the absence of the automated payment system has adversely impacted on the revenue raising ability of the county through deliberate undercharging of business permits, fees, and miscategorization of zones where businesses are actually situated. For instance, single business permits are issued to business owners at Zone B and Zone C, which attract less charges when the actual business is situated at Zone A to avoid payment of the actual charges. Similarly, property situated in areas that attract higher rates are miscategorized, charged, and issued clearance certificate for areas that are zoned for lower rates, thus perpetrating revenue leaks. Number D, the governor presides over an administration that has totally disregarded the valuation rule prepared and passed by the County Assembly in 2019, pursuant to the Valuation and Rating Act, Cap 266. Thus, the county continues to collect property rates under the old valuation rule, occasioning the county substantial revenue losses. Number E, the revenue leaks and losses has seen the county miss revenue targets for 2 consecutive years, whereby the revenue collections fall short of the projected revenue by more than 50%. Number F, the governor has violated the provision of Section 104 of the PFM Act 2012. Once through his acts of omission, commission, and inaction, he continues to preside over a broken public financial management system, which has made the county treasury ineffective. Number G, there is a nexus between the disappearance and or loss of the county revenue and the governor's opulent lifestyle since he was elected. Indeed, within 2 years since his election, the governor's wealth has grown exponentially, so much so that he can now afford to contribute up to Kenya shillings 1 million in a single RMB. Indeed, in one of the church functions, the governor was captured bragging that whereas he didn't have the resources when he first died, Rakome, to loosely translating this time, I have enough resources. Number 2 of violation, that is number A, is on or about 31st August 2023, the governor engaged in gross violation of Articles 10, 183, 201, 207, and 28 of the Constitution, and Section 102, 109, and 110 of the PFM Act 2012 by launching a program that Equalizer Kazi Mtaani initiative and drawing county funds towards initiative without a legislation to anchor the initiative, public participation, prior approval of the County Assembly and the control of budget, and prior approval of the budget and appropriation approval. Number 3, the present and former county executive committee members and chief officers have variously reported coercion by the governor to make financial allocations for governor's own use from the funds allocated to the respective departments, which funds they were required to remit through the governor's personal assistance. Number 4, violation of Article 201A, D, E of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 on principles of public finance management, and Article 226 as read with Article 227 of the Constitution by presiding over glaring irregularities evidenced by number A, irregular award of contracts and evasion of accountability, willful interfering in the procurement process and the award of tenders. Number C, skewed tender awards to various contractors at inflated rate and in collusion with fraudulent contractors and suppliers. Number D, irregular implementation of various programs in the county. And E, intentionally and negligently presiding over massive theft of county public funds as evidenced by the Auditor General's report for the financial year ended 30th June 2023, which raised red flags over various projects. Number 5, in the first charges on 15th August 2023, the governor compensated the victims of Lodiani accident from the county emergency fund to cover up for the funds raised by the public and misappropriated by a committee he had formed to steer the fund drive, and without a cogent explanation of where the funds publicly raised for the victims had been expended. Honorable members, evidence of the governor's engagement, connivance, and complicity in the aforementioned acts of misappropriation, misallocation, and illegal drawings of county revenue and county finances is to be found from Roman number 1 to Roman number 13, as indicated in page 8. Charge number 2 is misappropriation and or abetting misappropriation of public raising funds. Number one is on various dates between 4 July 2023 and 9 July 2023. The governor grossly violated the provisions of Article 10, 73 and 75 of the Constitution and Sections 29 and 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012 by A. overseeing misappropriation of the funds raised for the victims of horrendous Londiani Junction accident tragedy in which over Kenya shillings 9 million of public raised funds were lost. Number B. reneging on his undertaking to implement the report of the County Assembly's ad hoc committee formed to probe the misappropriation of funds meant for the victims of the accident. There is evidence that the governor filed a suit and or supported a suit by those implicated in the report of the County Assembly's ad hoc committee in Kericho ELRC petition number E006 of 2023, Dr. Wesley Bora and 5 others versus the Governor, Kericho County Government and others, and Kericho ELRC petition number E014 of 2023, Victor Tum and others versus the Governor, Kericho County Government and others. Number C is being personally and directly complicit in the flow award of direct tenders for service providers during the fundraiser and record mass of the victims of the accident. Number D, the county governor has in this regard committed numerous and various acts in the course of his duties and are contrary to and in violation of the Constitution and the laws of Kenya. This includes the number one, the authenticity of various payments made cannot be confirmed. The fact that the exact amount of money expended from the sum collected during the fundraiser points to the impropriety and suggests a clear fraud on those whom the funds were to have been benefited. Number 2, a total of Kenya shillings 13,682,660 was collected at the fundraiser. A sum of Kenya shillings 423,000 was purportedly expended as pastors' facilitation fee, transport refund, field preparation, lunches and refreshments, printing, publishing and radio announcements. Other payments that were approved from the fund were Kericho County Referral Hospital, Kenya shillings 2,037,524, Londiani Hospital, Kenya shillings 1,534,190, Supertex Limited, Kenya shillings 202,945,000, Super Shine Limited, Kenya shillings 411,000, Race Hotel, Kenya shillings 100,000, and county commissioners' fuel expenses at Kenya shillings 300,000, etc. Number 3, that when Kenyans from all walks of their life voluntarily made contributions to aid the victims of the tragedy, it was never intended or anticipated that the funds would be misappropriated with the blessings of the governor, who had a higher calling to ensure the money is accounted for to the last coin and on whom the people bestowed their trust. Number 4, the governor has issued contradictory statements insofar as the use of the funds is concerned. The contradictory statements point to his being complicit in the matter. Number 5, while the governor is on record indicating that the medical bills for all the victims will be waived and taken care of by the county government, it is not clear why money had to be paid out from the fund collected to various public hospitals against the express and unequivocal representations of the governor. Number E, by his acts of omission and commission, the governor has grossly violated the provision of Article 75 of the Constitution, which demands that a state officer shall, whether in private or in public, behave in a manner that avoids conflict of interest between personal interest and public or official interest, or compromises public interest in favor of personal interest. Number F, by overseeing the misappropriation of funds aimed at assisting the victims of the accident, the governor violated Article 73, subsection 2, which demands from him selfless service based solely on public interest, demonstrated by honesty in the execution of his duties, accountability to the public for decisions and actions, and discipline and commitment in service. Number G, by allowing himself to be a master of double-speak in such a grave matter that shook the conscience of the nation, the governor violated Article 73, 1A, Roman 2, and 3 of the Constitution, which demand that he at all times demonstrate respect to the people and bring honor and dignity to the office he holds. Number H, by allowing himself and senior officials close to him to benefit from the funds, the governor violated Article 76, 2B of the Constitution, which prohibits a state officer from accepting a benefit in circumstances that compromise the integrity of the state officer. And number I, by failing to ensure that decision-making in the executive office of the county government are not influenced by corruption, nepotism, and other colors and improper motives, the governor has failed to exercise objectivity and impartiality, thus violating Article 73, 2B of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Evidence of the governor's engagement, connivance, and complicity in the acts of misappropriating and or abetting misappropriation of publicly raised funds is to be found in, as indicated in page 11 and 3, that is Roman number 1 up to number 3. Charge number B is abuse of office. And a charge abuse of office, there is Roman number 1, illegal appointments, unlawful dismissal and transfers, and usurpation of the constitutional and statutory functions of county public service. The governor has variously, in gross misconduct, 2 gross violations of Article 10, 73, 75, 232, 235, and 236 of the Constitution, 3 gross violation of Section 17 of the Public Officer Act, Section 55, 59, 59A, 60, 62, 63, 64, and 65 of the County Government Act, Section 4 of the Public Appointments, County Assembly's Approval Act 2017, and variously abused his office by A, illegally appointing one Mrs. Alice Bate, now Judge of the High Court, as the county attorney when there was a substantive office holder, and act with the Employment and Labor Relations Court, Honorable Lady Justice Wasilu affirmed was irregular and procedural and unlawful in Sang versus Governor Kericho County and 2 others, petition E001 of 2023. In that case, the governor was found by the court to be in gross violation of Article 73 and 232 of the Constitution. His actions found to be illegal and unconstitutional in order to pay cost of Kenya shillings 2 million and costs personally. The governor has therefore been already adjudged to be in gross violation of the law, and all the assembly and the senate are called upon to do is to remove him by impeachment. Number B, causing the advertisement of the positions of doctors, nurses, early childhood education, ECD teachers, just to endear himself politically when he knew the county government did not have capacity to hire. The applicants were subsequently not shortlisted, nor the alleged vacancies are filled up. Number C, illegally deploying health staff by notice dated 22nd July 2024 without any justification or authority and involvement of the county service board, thus creating a crisis in the health sector. And number D, illegally appointing Mr. George Kipngeno Kirer as the Chief Officer for Finance and forwarding his name to the County Assembly for vetting and approval when there was a substantive office holder in the name of Miss Jacqueline Silangat and the vacancy had not arisen. Evidence of the governor's engagement, connivance, and complicity in the foregoing acts of illegal appointments and lawful dismissal and transfers and usurpation of the constitutional and statutory functions of the county organs is to be found in Roman number 1 and number 2 with the exhibits therein. Number 2, there's Roman 2 and abuse of office is subversion, discrediting and impeding of the oversight role of the county assembly. 1, on 3rd September 2024, the governor engaged in gross misconduct and grossly violated the provision of Articles 10, 73, 75, 174, and 185(3) of the Constitution, and abused his office by writing to the Speaker, purporting to direct the Speaker on, inter alia, the timelines the Speaker should give the chief officers who are summoned by the Assembly for questioning in exercise of Assembly's oversight mandate. Evidence of the governor's engagement, connivance, and complicity in the foregoing acts of subversion, discrediting, and impeding of the oversight role of the County Assembly is to be found in, as you can see, Roman number 1 and number 2 with the exhibits attached. Charge number C is gross misconduct. Roman number 1, bullying, incitement, vilification, and indecent sexual conduct. 1, on various occasions, the governor has repeatedly engaged in gross misconduct and gross violation of the provision of Article 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution and Section 29 and 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act by A, publicly vilifying the residents of Kericho County with divergent views. A case in point is that Mr. Marwa from Londiani, who while attending an event in Londiani on 4th March 2024, the governor publicly disparaged and demeaned and undermined and even threatened to use the services of the police officer assigned to him to manhandle him. Similarly, on 24th August 2023, the governor, while commissioning a renal unit and a bulk liquid oxygen plant at Kapkatet Sub-County Hospital, the governor openly vilified, slighted, and berated Honorable Amos Birir, MCA Kapkatet Ward, who had not attended the event, describing him as mentally blind and stupid. Number B, further on 15 August 2023, while addressing the press to counter the findings of the ad hoc committee of the County Assembly on Londiani accident, the governor spitefully referred to the members of the said ad hoc committee as the funeral committee. Number C, the governor has been operating with impunity as though he is above the law. On the second day of being sworn in office, the governor led a mob to invade a private land owned by one Mr. Josiah Kiblangat Kogo within Kericho town and tore down the fence. The governor has since designated the subject land as an illegal dump site operated by county governments without the consent of the registered proprietor, National Environment Management Authority, that is NEMA, approval, gazettement by the county, designating the parcel as a dump site, and in total disregard of a court order issued by the Environment and Land Court in Kericho in ELC petition number E001 of 2022, Josiah Kiblangat Kogo versus County Government of Kericho. The governor has also obstructed the enforcement of the orders by the police administration. The actions are illegal, contemptuous to the authority and dignity of the court and the rule of law, unethical and demeaning the office of the governor he holds. Further, as a result of the illegal actions of the governor, the county was condemned to pay the cost. Number D, there are numerous complaints of governors' indecent and unnatural sexual behavior by female partners who accuse the governor of, for instance, forcing them to unconsented anal sex, dangerous and unprotected sex, etc. The victim of the abuse seeks anonymity at this stage, and the mover of the motion shall, at the hearing of this motion, seek to have the victim heard in camera to protect her identity and dignity. Further, for the sake of concealing her identity, the victim will be identified in a pseudonym. Number E, the governor has persistently intimidated, molested, harassed county officers who do not sing to his tune, leaving officers jittery and creating an atmosphere of fear, uncertainty, and despondency in the county, and thus creating a toxic working environment. This violates provision of Section 11 and 13 of the Leadership and Integrity Act of 2012. Number F, the governor has persistently used divisive and unbecoming language which undermines the office he holds contrary to Section 8 of the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012. And G, the governor has violated Article 75(1) of the Constitution by drawing hefty allowances under salary while failing to diligently report to work, to the huge detriment of the discharge of his mandate as a governor and the performance of his functions. And H, the acts of the governor enumerated above have collectively brought dishonor and disrepute in the office of the governor in violation of Chapter 6 of the Constitution and the Leadership and Integrity Act of 2012. Evidence of the governor's engagement, connivance, and complicity in the preceding acts of incitement, vilification, and indecent sexual conduct is to be found in evidence that is from number 1, that's Roman 1 to Roman 3, which is also attached. Honorable members, having read the motion in verbatim, before we begin the debate on the motion that is now before the House, it is fundamental principle in law that an accused person has the right to be heard and to face his or her accusers on the allegations before them. Indeed, this is the essence of Article 47 and Article 50 of our Constitution. To this end, I will now invite His Excellency the Governor of Kericho County, whether by himself or by council, to take the floor and makes his submissions to the grounds and particulars of the motion before this Honorable Assembly for a period not exceeding 2 hours. And as we all know, that we have Katwa Kigen and your colleague, so you have a period not exceeding 2 hours. But just to remind you that this is a house of rules and procedures, and therefore we expect you more so, because having gone through your submissions that you submitted, to look at our standing orders number 97, so that it will guide you more so if you want to discuss the conduct of the governor or the speaker or any other person whose removal from such office is dependent upon the decision of this assembly. Please be guided, Council Katwa Kigen. And therefore, you have 2 hours. And what is the time? Clock? What? 11:20. Okay. So, hello, Council Kigen, you can proceed.
Mr. Speaker, sir, may I start by saying thank you very much for the courtesy and the invite. We very much appreciate, most especially, and to you specifically, the courtesy you have shown us. Secondly, may I, by way of starting, introduce both myself and my colleague. My name is Katwa Kigan. I represent the governor, together with my learned colleague, Mr. Manasseh Tunen. Thirdly, I want to extend a word of appreciation to you, Honorable MCS, for the courtesy of allowing us in here. And I would also like to say that if I say anything in the defense of His Excellency, it is specifically and solely out of my instructions or other our instructions to defend His Excellency. It has nothing to do with the respect we have for you. And may I just emphasize that we have the highest possible respect for you as MCS and as the Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when you introduced the issue, you put the issue of whether the Speaker will be in attendance and whether he's foregoing his option to represent himself.
Sorry, that's the governor?
Sorry, Governor, Mr. Speaker. I confirm that the governor was on his way here and would have arrived by now, but when he was on his way, he was given notice that there was an order stopping the proceedings, these proceedings. And in the face of the existence of that order, he went back. However, he still in line with the point that he's not foregoing his right to defend himself. Mr. Speaker, sir, you have already adverted to the fact that we filed his statement and defense and his documents dated 30th September 2024. It is our position, therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, that in the face of the order, this proceeding should be halted. However, if at the end of the court proceedings and at the end of the judge decides that this matter should come back here, we will be relying on that statement and we will not be foregoing his right to defend himself. Mr. Speaker, sir, may I also just go on record as acknowledging the observations you made at the start of these proceedings, being that you are in receipt of a letter from 16 MCAs, and the effect of which is that out of the 47 MCAs that this honorable plenary ordinarily hosts, there would be only 31 members then, and unless one more walks in, the people, even if the motion were to be discussed, the only number of people who would then be engaging in discussing would be 31. Honorable MCS, we have, speaking for the governor, we have not lost faith in you. We are still expecting that one of the 34, one or more of you in the 31 that are here will oppose the motion. I just want to be cautious so that it doesn't seem like I'm saying the 31 that are here against the governor. I just want to say that I know there are 31 here, and even if it were 100%, it would not master the 2/3 count unless one more walks in. And as a rider, we are still counting on you to disallow the motion. I appreciate from the mover and the seconder that most likely they will vote, and probably then there will be 29 against the two of them. Mr. Speaker, sir, having then done that introduction, I just want them to emphatically place on record our situation on behalf of the governor, being that there is an order made by the court this 2nd day of October. The hard copy of that order has been served on the assembly and on the office of the clerk. The soft copy has also been served by email. And out of caution, because we don't know how, Mr. Speaker, you will proceed with the issue, we just want to be on record also saying that we have served the order to the email of the Speaker, mutai@gmail.com, and we've served it also on the county assembly at email kcoassembly@gmail.com. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have also served the order. We have also notified the clerk and given him a copy of the order on WhatsApp. And so we just want it to be as emphatic as possible that the existence of an order is there, and if we were to proceed, we would be proceeding by choice of disobeying the order, not for lack of knowledge of its existence. Now, I appreciate that you honorable members of the county assembly, by reason that probably you had sat before that order was brought to your attention, might not know the contents, and so I just want to say something about its contents. The first one is that it is an order that was issued this morning, 2nd of October 2024. The order, in very specific terms, suspends, and I'm using the words used in the order, suspends and stays, it suspends and stays, debating, considering, and acting on the notice tabled on the 23rd of September 2024, and the motion moved on 24th September 2024 and today. So it suspends and stays, debating, considering, and acting on it. Multiple times the Speaker has pointed out to you, honorable members, that this is a court of record. And then, therefore, there is a certain disadvantage you have as opposed to other people, because if in the face of the fact that an order has been brought to your attention, you proceed, then it should be possible to pinpoint who it is that violated the order. I'm saying that again with the greatest respect. May I also say that the respondents in that petition are, number 1, the county assembly, number 2, the Speaker of the county assembly, and number 3, and allow me, the mover of the motion, Honorable Rogonyi, is the 3rd respondent. We didn't know that you have your friend seconding it. We would have also added him in the petition. Okay. Probably 2 last things, Mr. Speaker, then I ask for your directions in the face of the order. The first one, Mr. Speaker, is that just to say something more about the order has been granted against the background of our argument, and probably I'll just highlight 3 of them. The first one, Mr. Speaker, and again I said I am doing this with the greatest respect to everybody here, the greatest possible respect. The first one, Mr. Speaker, is that we have taken issue with you presiding over these proceedings. We have taken the position that you are biased against the governor.
Which the council,
yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Please be guided by standing order number 97. As I told you, you are free to say that, but not in this house, because of our standing orders are very clear, unless there's a substantive motion to discuss the conduct of the Speaker. For today, let me remind you, we have a substantive motion for the removal of the governor. But nevertheless, you are free to discuss it elsewhere, but not today in this sitting.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I can see that point is very popular with the MCS. I wasn't discussing it so much to put you on issue, Mr. Speaker. I was pointing it out more for the benefit of the MCS to appreciate the issues that have been raised in court. And so it's not so much that I'm asking that your character or your person be an issue. I'm just saying the basis or the issues we took to court and upon which we persuaded the court to give us the orders. Mr. Speaker, sir, you will also notice that that is an issue we've raised also in our defense dated 30th September 2024. In the face of the fact, Mr. Speaker, sir, that I have pointed out to you that I am highlighting it in the context of what is in court. I don't know whether you still are opposed to my...
Order,
yes, yes.
You know, the court order purported that you are speaking about is the one that I haven't received, or before we started this session, by that time we had not received, and we are being told actually your people or your agents delivered them at 10:24 a.m. And therefore, I remember, as I said earlier, that is the schedule. There is the House Business Committee that schedules all these things. By the time we schedule this business and commence at the sitting, this has not been brought to our attention, and therefore we cannot be able to continue discussing about the court order. And now I throw back the ball to you. You have a choice to continue with the defense of the governor, or you stick by the court order that you have alluded that it is there, which from where I sit, we haven't received and admitted it to be discussed or to be part of the proceedings. Let it be on record, so that let it be on record as a house. So, council, you have two choices: either to proceed with the defense of the governor, or you stick with the court of that there is existence of court order that you have. It has been delivered, as you put it, by choice. Is it?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes. May I say, there is of course the third choice of how I will use the 2 hours you've given me. Mr. Speaker, sir, one of the grounds for seeking the impeachment of His Excellency the Governor is that he is liable for doublespeak. We contested that, and we have shown why our position is that it is not true. But I'm not saying it so much because of His Excellency the Governor. I'm saying it more for you, your Honorable Speaker. You are on one hand saying we have not received the order, but I can see you already are reading from the order and saying it was served at 10. And so it cannot be correct to say that the record should show that you are not aware of the order or that you have not been given. I have also, because probably the camera will not be part of the record, but at least my audio will be part of the record. I have seen, and I just want to be on record also as saying this, that the clerk has shown you the order. And so if we are to proceed, we will be proceeding against the background that you, Mr. Speaker, with the greatest respect, have received the order, but you are electing to disregard it to the extent to which it asks you to suspend, stay, debate, consideration, and acting on the motion tabled on 23rd and moved on 24th. Two other issues, my lord. I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker. Yes, two other issues I just must say, in view of the space that I have in my 2 hours, is to say, Mr. Speaker, apart from the fact that we took to court our contest, that if we must proceed with this debate, we must have somebody else as a speaker as opposed to yourself, on account of material showing you are compromised by money and that you also are complaining in this case. Apart from that, we've also raised the issue of sub judice, that Mr. Speaker, sir, your Rule 99, Standing Order number 97, Standing Order 99,
okay,
2A and D require that you should not discuss matters that are in court that are sub judice. Yes, Mr. Speaker. Sorry. Yes, sir.
I just want us to go back to the matter of choice. And you've got two options. As I have indicated to you, that as far as I'm aware, you have just raised the matter of that there is a court order. There is a process of receiving court orders. You know very well. You are the legal. You are one of the learned friends.
Yes,
And
yes, Mr. Speaker. I'm aware that if you disobey it, you'll be in conflict.
Yes, by mere of just coming here and saying that you have already been served, and you know very well that there's a process of serving orders, you may be misleading this House, by extension, the members of the public. And I want to give direction that Council proceed with the defense of your client, that is Excellency the Governor, and let us not discuss on the matter of the court order that you have already informed us. I have been courteous enough that you informed us in the midst of the debate. So kindly proceed with the...
Okay,
and also let me remind you on, again, standing order number 997 for the last time, that let us not again allow, I will not allow you to discuss the conduct of the Speaker unless there is a substantive motion, which you know very well it is not there. Your comments, listening keenly to your comments, you keep on referring to the conduct of the Speaker. And I'm sorry that you are out of order, Council. So please stick to defense of the Governor. If you feel if you take that choice. Secondly, if you want to stand with what you are saying, as I've mentioned earlier, that there is a court order, and you feel that you are not going to continue because there is a court order, you have an option too. And I guess that option too will mean probably you may have to take your seat. And we proceed with the motion. So you stand guided, because
thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand guided. I will no longer discuss you other than what I have said, but I'm sure even Honorable Ogom can see that indeed you have the order in front of you. You have it right there. Now, Mr. Speaker, sir,
lawyer, yes, please take your seat.
Mr. Speaker, the Council has continued to mislead this House. I haven't seen any order. It just said that I'm part of those who've been served. But I do not have any document records. And so the Council ought to substantiate. Or if he can't, he should withdraw and apologize.
Yes, Council and honorable members, I had pronounced myself on that matter. However, there was a point of order by Honorable Ogwan, because I think that you alluded that he has received the court order that you are talking about. Maybe, and he has requested that perhaps, and he has informed you that he hasn't received one. So probably I'll just maybe give you a minute so that we can clear that and proceed. But nevertheless, I have already given direction on the matter regarding court order that you have alluded that we have been served. Proceed.
Honorable Ogony, you have asked me to either substantiate or withdraw. I intend to withdraw. But ahead of withdrawing, I don't remember saying Honorable Ogony has been served with the order. I have said it is the Speaker and the Assembly that has been served. If you misunderstood me to be saying that you've been served, because my supposition is that you've been here all this time, and so probably you haven't been physically served.
Order, you, Council, just to remind you, you did mention that the order has been served to the mover also.
No, I didn't say that. I said he's one of the respondents, Mr. Speaker.
Or is
the only person who has been served.
Or is it the aspect of mastering the double speak that we had alluded in the beginning? Anyway, proceed with the defense. Let's proceed to the matter.
On the double speak, Mr. Speaker, sir, I don't mind the stones you're throwing at me. I can live with them. So, Honorable Okony, if you understood me to be saying that you have been physically served, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying the Speaker has been served. I just want to be very emphatic about that.
Which I have also confirmed that I have not received any order.
And which I'm confirming that even as we speak, it is on the left-hand side of your, right-hand side of where you're seated, and the clerk has given you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, as you can proceed.
And if you'd rather, I can walk over to your table and show you the order, Mr. Speaker, sir. Okay, with that, then, Mr. Speaker, sir, I can move on. I can move on. Sorry.
Order. Please take your seat. Order. Just take your seat. Council, you know, I appreciate the fact that we have two representatives representing the governor, which we have admitted to this house, and you should follow our standing orders. I expect that, of course, being learned friends of the council, you are here to do the right thing and do it accordingly with procedure, not to engage in a manner in which, in one way or another, it's kind of you are disregarding or completely ignoring the directions from the Speaker. I give you the last chance so that you proceed, because we don't want to be, we wanted really to be very fair so that you can defend your clients. But let us avoid the issue of exchanging or challenging even the pronunciations by the chair himself. So proceed, the chair, council.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I will conform to your directions. I just want to say that when the court eventually determines this issue, we will be proceeding with our defense in line with the filing we did on 30th of September 2024. And in that filing, Mr. Speaker, sir, just to pick out a number of things, sensational things that have been flagged out by Honorable Rogoni and the second of the motion, we will be Honorable Rogoni flagged out the point that when Mr. Kirer replaced Jacqueline in circumstances of impropriety, and we wish the governor could produce some documents. We confirm that indeed we have documents showing the office of Chief Officer Finance was vacant, and therefore it is untrue to say that it had been filled. Number two, that it was Public Service Board that advertised. It is this county assembly to which that motion was brought for the appointment of Kirer, and if there is any fault, if there is anybody to be impeached, it is probably Honorable Rogon, who was sitting in the committee vetting the subcommittee for this assembly, vetting Mr. Kirer and recommending to the governor the appointment.
On the issue on that matter and any other matters that are coming up on your defense, I hope and believe that the documents that you are referring to, all of them have been attached in your submissions that submitted by
they have, Mr. Speaker.
Right. Just
and again, I'm emphasizing
record, yeah,
that unlike you, we do not want to be in contempt of the court order. We will come back after the court has pronounced itself. On the issue of sex excesses and improprieties, we have filed a notice objecting to the material supplied to us out of time, and we've not had time to respond to them. Mr. Speaker, sir, if you will, if the court decides that these proceedings proceed, and if you would like time, we will respond to that.
Sorry, Council, you are moving so fast. You said in the matter of supplementary evidence, you have objected it, or whatever?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir, and we filed a notice saying that we are objecting to the late service.
The notice have been, you have delivered here?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
So, clerk, you need to confirm, when was it delivered?
We have raised it.
That's all. All right, thank you. Clerk has confirmed that there is a letter objecting on the matter of supplementary evidence. You can proceed.
We are very grateful to both yourself and the clerk for confirming that. On the same issue of the sex, Mr. Speaker, sir, after we had filed our defense and having then had some latitude of time to look at it, we had a cursory look at it. And it is our view that on the face of what was contained in that supplementary evidence, the person Honorable Ogon should have been targeting for impeachment is the driver of the governor, because the exchange was between the driver of the governor and the lady Honorable Ogon has chosen to call Kericho daughter. And so when we come back after the court's decision, we will be making our arguments along those lines. With all that said, then, Mr. Speaker, sir, I will request that you allow my colleague to say something, but our general position is that until the application has been determined, we do not intend to proceed with the discussions and deliberations on the impeachment, because then it will be in contempt of court, and we do not want to similarly be in contempt. And as my colleague comes to say something, I just want to say that again, the governor was on his way, but in view of the order, he chose not to come, because then there was no necessity of going on with the case. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honorable Governor did not expect that there was a likelihood of you disobeying the court order, and that's why he didn't come. Honorable Ogoy said that His Excellency the Governor is a cruel person. I suspect I haven't been with the Governor for as long time as Honorable Ogoy has been with him, but with what I know, he is definitely not cruel, and we want to be on record as contesting that allegation that the Governor is cruel. And lastly, that when we come back to respond to this, we will, Mr. Speaker, sir, I know you stopped Honorable Ogon when he was qualifying what he was saying, when he said, His Excellency said one of the learned MCS here is stupid. He qualified by saying he did not use those words, he used a different set of words in a different language. We will be saying those words do not mean stupid, and that the Honorable His Excellency did not use the word stupid. Lastly, and I have the greatest respect to Honorable Birir, I don't know him. The comment made by His Excellency saying that some people are politically blind did not refer specifically to any specific person, including Honorable Birir. And even Honorable Birir has taken offense because of this complaint brought by Honorable Ogon. The person who should be offended at is Honorable Ogon, not His Excellency the Governor, because that's not the person who made that comment. But we must say also, and I suspect Honorable Ogon has said this, that making the statement that somebody is politically blind is a fair political comment. It's something any of you would say in your political forum. It is not an abuse to say somebody is politically blind. With all that, then, Mr. Speaker, sir, I very kindly request that my colleague say something briefly, and with that, we will not proceed on our part with the proceedings. We will be seeking to cite everybody who says anything about this issue in the face of the order, and we plead with you that the same way the Speaker is insisting and emphasizing that we respect the standing orders, we respect the rules, the same way we do respect the fact that there is a court order. I am addressing the MCS, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order, but only through the, you can only...
through the Speaker,
please
may I say thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And again, Mr. Speaker, I hope you don't take it personal. Again, I have the greatest respect for you.
Okay.
And if I have said anything, it is out of the need to defend my client.
Okay.
The same to Honorable Robert.
Just, of course, having, just order first, Council, before you take the seat, you know, the comments or the observation by, I want to believe you are the lead counsel, Katwa Keegan, on this matter, and you have pronounced yourself really that you don't intend to continue with this matter because of the court order. So honestly, I don't see the reason why then we should give to your colleague, and you have already pronounced yourself, because that is from your own observation, and therefore I guess you have already summarized, unless you wanted your colleague just to say his name, and because you have made it very clear that you don't intend to.
Mr. Speaker, sir, are you withdrawing my 2 hours?
Of course, based on you've said that you don't.
Okay.
You don't.
Mr. Speaker, sir, could you then allow my colleague just to say something? He probably has a different view. Probably wants to proceed with the defense. Let's hear what he has to say, please. Just for a minute.
Okay, proceed the council.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, members of the County Assembly. As introduced by my learned senior Katwa Kigen, my name is Manasseh Tunen, in the team representing the Governor. I would associate myself with the submissions made by my learned senior Mr. Katwa Kigen, and our point or stand is that we respect the court order, and we will not be proceeding. And then when and if the court decides that this House should proceed to discuss the motion, then there's only one issue that I think my learned senior forgot to mention that we will be objecting to, and that is the manner in which the alluded or the alleged witness is going to present her testimony. It has been indicated that it will be through pseudonyms, it will be in camera, and up to now, as the evidence suggests, we are not aware, or the public or whoever is not aware of who that person is. So if that is to stand, we will be requiring or requesting or demanding that such persons be identified by their name, be identified by their face, and they should be availed before you if the court is of the opinion that this motion should proceed. And Mr. Speaker, with your kind permission, and this is not to say that we are proceeding with the motion, if we feel like we want to proceed through the motion, we kindly request that you allow us to proceed and, I mean, observe what happens in the House if, of course, Mr. Speaker, you choose to proceed with deliberating on the motion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Council. You said Manas, Tunei. You said.
Maybe I should make that clear. Tunen, T-U-N-E-N, Kiplagat Manasseh. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Council Tunen, Council Katwa Kigen. Now that you have pronounced yourself on the very matter that you are not willing to proceed because of the matter of the court order that you have mentioned that is before us, I don't, of course, have anything else to say but really to appreciate you being here, having taken your time. You have made your submissions, and as an assembly we were very honored and pleased to have you and to interact with you, and therefore all the members, I think in the best interest of and respect that we give the side of His Excellency the Governor, most of the legal team that are here, I think it will be no other than we release you because you are not part of the proceedings from now. And Sergeant Adams, please, Katwa Kigen, and so we hope to meet soon as you have made your submissions, and we are happy to have you again in the future. Thank you so much. Sergeant Adam, ensure that the legal counsels are served with a cup of tea at the office of the clerk, and if there is lunch, you can also provide lunch at the two legal counsels. Thank you so much for your time and your submissions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, although we suspect you are punishing us for raising the objections.
You are out of order, Kato Kigen. We will always, the Honorable Clerk, I think next time we need to induct our visitors on our standing orders, so that we avoid these side shows. Nevertheless, we will proceed with the motion. Honorable members, of course, you have heard the submissions by the legal councils representing the governor, and we now proceed. Now the debate is now the motion is open for debates and contribution. Before I give it to the mover to reply, you know, procedures, honorable members, must be followed and must be adhered to. Yes, the leader of majority. The leader of majority, I hope you stand guided. Yeah. Honorable members, I'll refer you to our standing orders. When the question has been proposed, it must be debated before the mover of the motion replies, and then we shall put the question. The leader of majority.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity, and maybe allow me, Mr. Speaker, before I proceed with my contributions of supporting the same motion, Mr. Speaker, that is before the floor of the House today, Mr. Speaker. Allow me, Mr. Speaker, to refer to the standing order number allow me, Mr. Speaker, to refer to the standing order on the issue of quorum, Mr. Speaker. If you can give me 1 minute, Mr. Speaker.
That is in order.
It is the standing order number 37, Mr. Speaker, and I want to read, Mr. Speaker, out of curiosity, Mr. Speaker, and based on what the council wanted actually to raise, Mr. Speaker, and based on the communication that you made earlier, Mr. Speaker, on my fellow colleagues who actually, Mr. Speaker, send signed documents before you, Mr. Speaker. Number 71, Mr. Speaker, said a quorum of the assembly or of a committee of the whole assembly shall be a third of its members, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the tradition of this House, Mr. Speaker, a third of this House, Mr. Speaker, if you calculate, Mr. Speaker, it should be around 15 point something, Mr. Speaker, 15.66, Mr. Speaker. And for the purpose of records, Mr. Speaker, we've been operating under the quorum of 16, Mr. Speaker, because it is a simple mathematics, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know my background very well, Mr. Speaker, having studied for a very long time electronics engineering, Mr. Speaker. I've also done instrumentation and control engineering, Mr. Speaker, which entails a lot of mathematics, Mr. Speaker. But if I may refer my colleagues that are outside this county assembly, Mr. Speaker, to the engineering mathematics book one, Mr. Speaker, by A.K. Stroud, Mr. Speaker, they say in decimals, Mr. Speaker, when you are rounding off to a whole figure, Mr. Speaker, if it is above 0.5, Mr. Speaker, 0.5, then you round off ahead of the number, Mr. Speaker. And if it is less than that one, Mr. Speaker, you round down, Mr. Speaker. And that's the reason we normally run our quorum by 16, Mr. Speaker. That means a third of this county assembly. And when we want to find the 2/3 of this county assembly, Mr. Speaker, you just say the 47 members of the county assembly, you less their third, which is 16, Mr. Speaker, and you get 31 automatically, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I can say we are well, we want to proceed, Mr. Speaker, and the same, Mr. Speaker, I wish the council would have been here, Mr. Speaker. I know they studied law. I studied a lot of mathematics, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, during my KCAC, I was the third in the whole Kericho County. That was Kericho District, a third time, Mr. Speaker. So they should not even doubt, Mr. Speaker. They should refer me as the dictionary of mathematics in that case, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the second thing, Mr. Speaker, I know our colleagues, and as the leader of this house, Mr. Speaker, as one of the leader in this house, Mr. Speaker, I have seen through my mobile phone, Mr. Speaker, our 16 members of the county assembly, Mr. Speaker, are following us live, Mr. Speaker, just like other citizens of Kericho County who doesn't have the opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to appear before the house and maybe argue their issues out, Mr. Speaker. I pity one honorable member, Mr. Speaker, who raised a very serious statement that informed the house to do or to form a committee on ad hoc to investigate the Kasi Mutahani, that is this debt equalizer program, Mr. Speaker, that found, the committee found around 23 million, Mr. Speaker, that these people could not account for, Mr. Speaker. And while the member was given the opportunity to give his sentiments before the floor of the house, Mr. Speaker, he recommends that several people or persons in the executive should be indicted, Mr. Speaker. And we are here today courtesy of the same, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me, as I support the motion, Mr. Speaker, I want to start with the issue of revenues, Mr. Speaker, because if I will be asked,
the majority, before you proceed, will not proceed with the other matter of extending time that you had reached. Because
thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I know we are caught on by time, Mr. Speaker, and maybe that is what I was saying, Mr. Speaker, before I proceed with my contribution of supporting the motion, Mr. Speaker. You allow me to introduce a motion of the extension of time, Mr. Speaker, because the standing orders of the county assembly that is we appointed by Mr. Speaker allows the first session to end at 12:30 p.m., Mr. Speaker. And based on this, Mr. Speaker, and the weight of the matter that is before the House, Mr. Speaker, we need to extend the time, Mr. Speaker, and I therefore move a motion to extend the time until such a time that will conclude the matter that is before the Assembly, Mr. Speaker. And I kindly invite Honorable Moses Rotich, MCA, Tendema Soviet, Mr. Speaker, to second.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Considering the weighty matter that is before us, Mr. Speaker, or matter of county importance, Mr. Speaker, in Kenya at large, I stand to second the motion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Moses Rotich, for the motion, for seconding the motion of extension of sitting time of the Assembly, which is in line with our standing orders. Those are motions which may be moved without notice. And I'll propose a question, of course, and I propose a question that this House extend the sitting, that is morning sitting, until the conclusion of the debate, that is the motion that is before us. Yes. Silent means I call the mover of the motion, leader majority, to reply before I put the question on extension of time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity, and thank you very much, honorable members, for allowing me to move the same motion of extension of time because of the weight matter that is before the House. Thank you very much.
Okay. I now raise to put a question that this House extend the sitting time until the conclusion of this motion. Will as many as are of similar opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? And the ayes have it. Then the majority, now you can proceed with your contribution on the substantive motion itself.
Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity once again. Mr. Speaker, before I mention, or before I proceed, Mr. Speaker, let it be in record, Mr. Speaker, that personally and other members chaired by the Speaker, we sat in the House Business Committee that schedules the works or the business that is to be transacted by the House, Mr. Speaker. We sat at exactly around 7:30 a.m. in the morning, Mr. Speaker, and we did schedule the business that is before the House today, Mr. Speaker, for discussion and deliberations, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, number two is that, Mr. Speaker, according to the standing orders of this House, Mr. Speaker, the first session starts at 9:30 a.m. in the morning, Mr. Speaker, and it should end at 12:30 p.m., Mr. Speaker, not unless with the exception like for today, Mr. Speaker, when we have a lot of businesses, when we have to extend time by moving a motion and adopted by the House for the same discussion, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the councils that appeared before the House, Mr. Speaker, led by Katwa Kigen, Mr. Speaker, they came here knowing, Mr. Speaker, that they are coming to defend His Excellency the Governor, Mr. Speaker. And I'm very sure that they came here knowing that there is no order, Mr. Speaker, that on the way, Mr. Speaker, they wanted to introduce the same, Mr. Speaker. You know the law. Once the session started, Mr. Speaker, there is no way, this is a special motion, there is no way we could terminate this, Mr. Speaker, and I beg that we proceed with the same, Mr. Speaker, until its conclusion, Mr. Speaker. That is my observations, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in supporting the same motion that is before the floor of the House, Mr. Speaker, I want to start with the issue of revenue, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for our people back at home who entrusted us with the responsibility of representing, Mr. Speaker, legislating on their behalf, Mr. Speaker, and oversighting the executive on behalf of them, Mr. Speaker, mandated us to do, or the Constitution mandates us to do the three roles, Mr. Speaker. That is oversight, legislation, and representation, Mr. Speaker. And when we see misappropriation, Mr. Speaker, and things done away from the law, Mr. Speaker, is when we need to raise the red flag, Mr. Speaker, and inform the public that something is not doing good, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I happened to have worked for Safaricom Limited, Mr. Speaker, where they encourage cashless transactions, Mr. Speaker, and that is one of the leading telecommunication industries, Mr. Speaker, which one of them, I'm not saying I have interest in the same, Mr. Speaker, but after the county government advertised, after the lapse of the riverbank system, Mr. Speaker, their time elapsed, their contract elapsed, Mr. Speaker, they did the right thing by advertising, Mr. Speaker. They advertised, Mr. Speaker. They followed all the procedures, Mr. Speaker, but reaching the tail end, Mr. Speaker, they failed to award the contract to the winner of the contract, Mr. Speaker. I even don't know, Mr. Speaker, where PPRA are there, Mr. Speaker, because this is against the law, Mr. Speaker. When a contractor wins a tender, Mr. Speaker, they needed to have given that person or that company the same rules, Mr. Speaker, to collect for us the money, Mr. Speaker, in terms of revenue. The county government was to procure that integrated county revenue management system, Mr. Speaker. But immediately the governor entered into the office. 2 months later, Mr. Speaker, they collapsed all the system, Mr. Speaker, and we referred back to manual when other counties, Mr. Speaker, are operating with systems, Mr. Speaker. That's why when we were rated the last time, Mr. Speaker, we were doing number 43, Mr. Speaker, out of almost 47, Mr. Speaker, which is an embarrassment to a very green county like this, Mr. Speaker. I therefore, Mr. Speaker, say proceed as Kericho County, if we are to progress, we must have the revenue system back, Mr. Speaker. But failure by the executive to provide the same 11 months down the line, Mr. Speaker, seems or means they don't want this system in place, Mr. Speaker, because they want to loot the money that belongs to the people, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I come from the farthest ward of this Kericho County, Mr. Speaker. When accessing medical services, Mr. Speaker, I need to come. If somebody gets an injury or broken arm or everything, Mr. Speaker, we need to come back all the way to Kericho County, Mr. Speaker. I was overseeing, or I was seeing that if we could have proceeded in the right way, Mr. Speaker, we need to have even installed the X-ray systems and machines in the sub-county hospitals that we are coming from, Mr. Speaker. But because of the theft in the county government, Mr. Speaker, of these issues to do with revenue, Mr. Speaker, you see we are still there, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the county referral hospital, all the roofs, Mr. Speaker, at the maternity wings, Mr. Speaker, are leaking. People are sharing beds, Mr. Speaker, in the same referral hospital at our time, Mr. Speaker. You can imagine, Mr. Speaker, for this to end, we must execute this impeachment like yesterday, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this county assembly has passed several laws, Mr. Speaker, and it has been enacted by the county governor, Mr. Speaker. You see, when we pass a bill here, Mr. Speaker, after it has been attended by the governor, Mr. Speaker, it becomes an act which the governor is bound to operate within the same act, Mr. Speaker. This county assembly, Honorable House, Mr. Speaker, passed a valuation rule, Mr. Speaker, in the year 2019. Before its finality was, Mr. Speaker, executed, we entered into this election, Mr. Speaker. After coming up, Mr. Speaker, coming back in 2022, we expected that the county government will use the new valuation rule, but only lands department was found maybe to collect close to 1.2 billion, Mr. Speaker, as revenue, Mr. Speaker, from land rates and other things, Mr. Speaker. But to date, Mr. Speaker, you can see the total collection as per the control of budget reports, and for the Auditor General's report, Mr. Speaker, we collected only 359 million. That is inclusive of those other revenue streams, Mr. Speaker. To me, for this county to progress, Mr. Speaker, His Excellency Dr. Erick Mutai, Mr. Speaker, should be impeached, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to talk much on other things, Mr. Speaker, but Leadership and Integrity Act of 2012, Mr. Speaker, and the Chapter 6 of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, on integrity and other things and ethics, Mr. Speaker. There is a way.
As you finalize the leader majority.
Thank you. On Leadership and Integrity Act of 2012, Mr. Speaker, there is a way that a public officer or a state officer should behave in the public, Mr. Speaker. Though the lead lawyer of His Excellency the Governor wanted, again, Mr. Speaker, maybe to challenge us, I understand Kalenjin dialect, Mr. Speaker, fluently, and whatever he referred to one of the honorable members of this House, Mr. Speaker, is uncalled for a state officer of the caliber of His Excellency the Governor to call my colleague that is mentally stupid, that people ought not to have elected such a person, Mr. Speaker, that is acting as the MC of Kapkatet at the same time working as a governor, Mr. Speaker. That one, Mr. Speaker, is degradation of the rights of an honorable member and a human being, Mr. Speaker. The same thing, Mr. Speaker, as I finalize, I was in the special committee, or rather committee on Londiani accident, Mr. Speaker. I felt so bad, Mr. Speaker, when the governor referred to us as a funeral committee, Mr. Speaker. Yes, I have sat in committees in my rural home as a funeral committee, but for that case, Mr. Speaker, I sat as an honorable member in a committee, special committee formed to investigate the same issues of Londiani issues, Mr. Speaker. We recommend to His Excellency the Governor that people that was involved in the same theft, Mr. Speaker, and Mr. Speaker, you see the way we lost money. I'm one of the person I went maybe to Nakuru Beach Age Hospital, Mr. Speaker, and Honorable Excellency Susan Kiika, Mr. Speaker, pronounced herself that no bill of the same, because of the magnitude of that incident, Mr. Speaker, she waived at the BGH hospital, Mr. Speaker. Coming to our own county, Mr. Speaker, the governor himself pronounced himself, and eventually, Mr. Speaker, they went ahead and billed 2,037,524 for Kericho County Referral Hospital, Mr. Speaker. At the same time, 1,534,190 for Londiani Sub-County Hospital, Mr. Speaker. This one came to a total of over 4 million, Mr. Speaker. And we have the evidence of the checks from the same account, Mr. Speaker. It was so painful. We saw people who got injured, Mr. Speaker. I know of many who still to date, Mr. Speaker, doesn't have legs. Though the same people came and sourced money from other accounts of this county government after the staff of the county executive had exploited the same, Mr. Speaker, from the people. Mr. Speaker, for all this to progress, Mr. Speaker, you've had the report, Mr. Speaker. And when we were in primary, there was a book called Primary Science. I think it was standard 6 to 7, Mr. Speaker. There was what we call the food web, Mr. Speaker. And they used to say, in the food web, Mr. Speaker, they were saying, the pointer points to the eater, Mr. Speaker. I end my quote, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Chief Whip, the Honorable Rotich.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand here to support the motion for the impeachment of Her Excellency Dr. Erick Mutai. Mr. Speaker, I can recall very well that in the year 2022, somewhere September 9th, Mr. Speaker, I took a Bible to swear clearly that I will take the responsibility of this county seriously and to prevent anything that can actually hinder progress of our county. Mr. Speaker, I want to start very well that the move of the motion has put it very clear that there has been a lot of failures or actually interference causing to loss of several funds. Mr. Speaker, number one, I want to start by bringing to attention of our members that Kericho County Violation Rule, Mr. Speaker, Act 2019, which I participated very well, Mr. Speaker, and this violation rule, Mr. Speaker, ought to have given us 1.2 million. I want to say there has been a lot of money that has been collected, Mr. Speaker, and nothing has been forthcoming to our county. Precisely, Mr. Speaker, that in the collection of our money, Mr. Speaker, I undertook myself personally as an MC representing good people of Seretut, Mr. Speaker. I want to state that very clearly. I undertook an exercise personally because there has been a lot of privileges of our county funds. Mr. Speaker, I one day took a gumboot, I took my jacket, I wore a cape, I went to Kapkelek Market, Mr. Speaker, just to ascertain whether there has been privileges in Kapkelek. Mr. Speaker, I want to put this one on record that I personally, Kapkelek Market has been collecting or there has been remitting 2,000 shillings. I want to confirm very clearly that exactly when I appeared there at 11 a.m. I stayed there up to 3 p.m. Mr. Speaker, I want to confirm before everybody and the media that, Mr. Speaker, at 3 p.m. we have collected 22,000 and 70 shillings on top. Mr. Speaker, we have been losing a lot of funds, and I want to confirm this is very serious. If we don't stand very firm in members, Honorable Speaker, then we are doomed. And our people have always been asking us about where medicine, where there's no medicine hospitals. Our hospitals are dry, and our people have been on us every now and then, Mr. Speaker. I want to start to be counted that if I had gone there, Mr. Speaker, on that Sunday, if I had gone there at about 7 a.m. and out at about 4, I'm very sure that we were going to collect over 50,000 election day. So, Mr. Speaker, that is an example which I affirmed myself. And we can confirm by downloading M-Pesa statements there in the revenue that we collected 22,000 and something on top. But we have been remitting 2,000 shillings. Mr. Speaker, I cannot sit down and watch our the funds that are supposed to come back later and assist us build the roads, give us the medicine, assist our people build the dispensaries, build tea buying centers, and everything that is going to be that is of good importance to our people. Mr. Speaker, I want to be counted, and I will stand very firm that at no point will I watch our money being misused, being eaten, being taken away while there are no medicine in our hospitals. Mr. Speaker, I am very serious with this, and I will not take any minute in backtracking what I have said. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I want also to quote that the other day we received a report from the Controller of Budget, that is 2023. Mr. Speaker, I want to bring to attention of members that when we received the report from Controller of Budget, it says that Kabianga Tea Farm that is over 400 acres of tea. As we speak, Mr. Speaker, the money that we are supposed to be receiving as a county was not even reported. So definitely zero returns. So, Mr. Speaker, this is very serious. How can the 400 acres of tea not even produce even a shilling? Which world are we? Mr. Speaker, when you have tea, I have 2 acres of tea in my home, and I get a little money. How can that 400 acres of tea not even give us even a line item? You can imagine, Mr. Speaker, I was surprised that in the report, Kabianga Tea Farm, even the line item itself was not even given out. It is very shameful, Mr. Speaker. It wasn't captured. So where is the money for Kabianga Tea Farm? Mr. Speaker, we need to go and spade, but not a bush bull. That one I'll stand very firm. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I want to confirm that among the people that generated the valuation drone, it is called Kericho County Rating Act of 2019. We sat here, I was among the members who sat in the last committee, in the last parliament. And I can confirm very clearly, and it's very, I'm very lucky that, Mr. Speaker, I'm the one who came back for the members who were there that parliament. I want to confirm that when we sat, we prepared a comprehensive document that actually would have given this county over 1.2 billion. If we just sit down and watch what we call, there's nothing that has been enacted, there's been it's been existence, so not implementation. Mr. Speaker, if we are going to see like this and see nothing being implemented, then we are losing a lot of money. You can imagine, Mr. Speaker, if I can remember very well, like for the case of Omabay. Mr. Speaker, it's good to tell our people very clearly. Omabay doesn't grow tea. They can only do what we call fishing. That is in the lake. But, Mr. Speaker, they are collecting over 1 billion. As in Kericho, we have tea, we have factories, we have coffee, we have lands, plots. Mr. Speaker, I think it's high time that we tell ourselves the naked truth. How can we be getting 359 million? How on this earth? Well, when we have everything. Factories here, we have steel factory, we have cement factory, we have several tea factories, Mr. Speaker. We are not collecting. There are a lot of vehicles that are applying everywhere, collecting teas across the county. But we are not getting the value for money. Where is this money that they are saying they are collecting? Lastly, Mr. Speaker, what pains me a lot was swapping, so the swaps. They have been swapping these the single business permits. How can you swap a single business permit? The other day, Mr. Speaker, as I was walking, taking tea somewhere in town here, I just saw somewhere hanged a single business permit, Mr. Speaker, that reads Kipkelion East. While Kipkelion East ends at Boom, but it is here in Town. I have to that effect, and I can produce very well. How can it be here, Mr. Speaker? You know, these people are trying to swap. You know, our Kericho, within the radius of Kericho Town, usually stands under the category A. So it's good to be very honest. And there stands as category C. So they are taking money from the traders here, so at least you see that they can swap and give them the cheaper, then of course pocket other money. So that one is not acceptable. And that is what we call gross theft, a clear theft, Mr. Speaker. I have it. I took a picture of the same and I can produce. So definitely we need to be serious. I want to request that, Mr. Speaker, as I end, that the money for Kabianga, I want to tell you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to stand very firm with my people and the people of Kericho at large, that the money from Kabianga Tea Farm must be given or must be put on the table. What was the problem hiding? Why are they hiding? Control our budget, the online item exists. Mr. Speaker, there is a serious theft in our county and must be fixed. And those people who can fix this issue are the honorable MCAs. That one must be very clear. It is an item that we stand firm and to be counted. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to end by saying that I want to applaud the members, over 31 members who are present today, to make sure that we sanitize our county and make it great once again. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, okay, I can see a lot of hands. The Honorable Chariot, but first because of his ranking member, and then I'll give leadership to the Honorable Fancy after. I've seen the hand of Honorable Gilbert, Honorable Erick B. In that order, Honorable Chariot, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity, and of course, by extension, Mr. Speaker, the people of Ainamoi who have stood by my side, Mr. Speaker, and that is why I am in this county assembly. Mr. Speaker, from the onset, allow me to thank the mover of the motion, Mr. Speaker, that is the Honorable Rogong, because this motion, Mr. Speaker, is even was supposed to have been moved even last year, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the problem that has belittled this county, Mr. Speaker, is the problems that we've been trying, Mr. Speaker, to find solutions, Mr. Speaker. One of the greatest challenge that we have in our county, Mr.